my little tattletales. How you doing today? Well, baby, if you are Kris Jenner's ex-bodyguard, you're sitting there singing, "Hey, must be the money." If you guys don't know, the bodyguard dismissed his years-long suit for harassment against Kris Jenner, right? I'm trying to get demonetized because Kris was doing some things that will get you demonetized. You know what that means. They settled. They've been trying to get him to settle for a while, move to arbitration. That this guy out the blue voluntarily said, you know what? I'm going to just let this case rest. To me, legally, and I think most lawyers will agree, it sounds like they had a settlement. We'll get into that. But let's also talk about when Khloe and Kris were on Keeping Up with the Kardashians. If you don't know, my recap is up right now. Y'all say y'all want me to post it on time, so it's on time. The recap is up. Khloe was like, so how'd it feel? How'd it feel when you cheated? And Kris, how'd you feel? She was like, how'd it feel when you cheated on my dad? And Kris was looking at Khloe like, should I tell her I cheated on Kim, Kourtney, and Rob's dad? Right? Kris was looking like she wanted to say the same way it felt when Tristan was swimming in Marley. She literally had to catch herself. But y'all, we did a little digging, right? And Kris saying that cheating was the worst thing she ever did. She thought the grass was greener. Baby, Kris whole life. I just realized why Khloe puts up with Tristan. Tristan is the male form of Kris Jenner. Baby, Caitlyn Jenner didn't break up her marriage to Robert Kardashian. Todd did, right? On top of that, we did a little digging into Kris's childhood. And yo, if these people that wrote unauthorized biographies about her can be believed, Kris was in the street. She was a wild girl. Y'all, let's get into this mess. First of all, let's talk about how she settled with her bodyguard, which good for him. They got enough money. They're literally swimming in the money. They can take care of it, right? So Kris is actually in trouble she's actually in trouble. Well, not in trouble, but she got out of trouble, okay? He dismissed the lawsuit. If you guys don't know the lawsuit, Kris Jenner was putting the moves on him, putting her hands in between his legs, on the thigh, doing this, doing that. It was definitely hostile work situations. But you know what? If he looks at Corey Gamble with his little Silk the Shocker two-piece set and Dolce & Gabbana thinking, that could have been me. Saying, that could have been me. Now, this bodyguard looks a lot like Kevin Hunter. Not Kevin Hunter now, but Kevin Hunter when he was in Wendy. You know, I'm not going to do it to this guy. He don't look like Kevin Hunter, but he looks like somebody Kris would definitely been into, right? Now, they're saying they don't know whether there was a financial component to the dismissal. Of course there was. This guy had a case. He moved past mediation, of course. And Kris and them kept trying to offer him money, but he kept saying too low, too low. I guess they offered him a price he couldn't refuse. His lawsuit included claims of discrimination and a hostile work environment. Isn't that just the perfect place to describe the Kardashians? He alleged that Kris made non-consensual physical contact with him in an inappropriate and sexual nature. Every time Kris came around, he was screaming, bad touch, bad touch, bad touch, right? On top of that, oh my God. On top of that, right? He said nothing happened when he claimed to her or his supervisors at Shield Security, right? And then Kris started retaliating against him. He was suspended from protecting the Kardashian Jenner matriarch, but continued to provide security for Kourtney, right? Listen, Marty Singer, of course, their pit bull, vehemently denied it, but who cares about all that? We need to get into, right? We need to get into Kris's history, because as much as she wanted to be sitting there on TV talking about Caitlyn Jenner was her biggest regret for breaking up the family, baby, Todd broke up the family. You are not going to believe this. Let me get into this, right? This is Todd actually saying the way him and Kris like. This is what I'm saying. Tristan is the male equivalent of Kris. Listen to this. He said, this is Todd Waterman. Their subsequent crazy and passionate affair led to Kris's divorce and paved the way to creating a worldwide Kardashian phenomenon. Now, mind you, she cheated with Todd while she was married to Robert Kardashian. It's actually why they got the divorce. Kourtney actually, I think, caught them a few times, right? That's why she got so much beef toward her mom, because she remembered when Kris was in those streets. But then she also linked up with Todd while she was with Caitlyn. Well, Bruce back then, but Caitlyn now, you know? She said, I was attracted to Kris, you know, who decided to speak out after Kris wrote about him in her autobiography using the false name Ryan. She said, Todd eventually got together with Kris on a night out with friends in Los Angeles, and the pair did the nasty for the first time in a friend's closet. He said, I'm sure we danced and had a good time in the club. We came back to our friend's home in Beverly Hills, and our first time we did it was in her friend's closet. We found a little place in the house and consummated the relationship. It was a magical night, surreal. I think it was two people that were both open to experiencing something in their life at that time. It was fate. We invited it. We just ran with it. And from that point on, we didn't hold back. You guys, listen. Todd and Kris were getting it in. Somehow they fell out, right? And then he said, love swept us away. We made our own different reality. It was special. It was crazy, a little wild. We didn't exercise caution or self-restraint. I think they even got caught. Who was it? Oh, so that's the story, right? This is how it got found out that they were going to get a divorce. Robert Kardashian Sr. and Kris. Okay, so the book says that, Robert Kardashian was super, super into Kris Jenner. Okay, so one day, one of Robert's friends were at his house because Rob was like, something was going on with the guy's house. And Rob was like, yeah. You can use my gym, it's no problem. So he was like, all right, man, cool. So he went to go use the gym. And when he walked in the gym, he found Todd and Kris doing the nasty in the gym, right? Unless Todd isn't the trainer. Let me actually, right? Is Todd the trainer? Hold on, y'all. Let me make sure that Kris didn't have another person in. Okay, so anyway, it could be Todd. It could be the trainer. I think Todd's the trainer, right? He walked in and he saw Kris Jenner on top of the trainer. And baby, they weren't stretching it out. So he was like, yo, you either tell Robert what's going on or I'm going to tell him. So Kris told Robert. Robert was like so hurt. And they ended up getting divorced. But then there's another boyfriend that was talking trash about Kris. See, apparently they were saying that Mary Jane had Kris out there on the professional golf circuit at the country club looking for a rich man. Kris hadn't even graduated high school. She was 16 or 17. Mama was 16 or 17 years old. She was dating a professional golfer. I think he was 26 years old. Whenever she would travel overseas, sometimes she would go with him or she would stay at his house, right? That golfer literally flipped out because somehow he found out that she was dating Robert Kardashian. And she was like, you're dating the Armenian guy, right? And I believe he said that she caught Kris and Rob Kardashian in his house, right? And then she told Kris, get out of here. I don't believe it, blah, 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 blah. And on top of that, he kept a bunch of gold. He was Spanish, right? But he was a professional golfer, Spanish-American. And he kept a bunch of gold bullion. I guess that's from Spain, right? He kept a bunch of gold bullion. He then accused Kris of when he did tell her to get out and get all her stuff. He said he went, God, I'm missing so much detail. Let me, if you want me to do a more in-depth story, because it's actually really good, right? So he would always be away at golf, going on pro circuits. Kris would sometimes go with him. This one time, not one time, but Kris would sometimes stay back. He literally left the circuit early, right? Came home from his little tour early. And that's when he caught Kris in the house with Robert Kardashian and he flipped out. But it's not over, right? He was like, get your ish and get out. So he left while she could pack up. He then accused her, right? That when she left, she took $30,000 in gold bullion from his house was missing. He said he never had any proof it was Kris, but he was sure Kris took it. Do you know how much $30 billion? Do you know how much $30,000 in gold bullion was? Do you know how much $30,000 in gold bullion was back then? That is literally like somebody stealing like what, 150,000 right now. Like, just crazy amounts of money. Y'all, listen, MJ had Kris out there. Kris was in them streets. And I will say, if you look at like all her history from what her old boyfriend saying, whatever, no shade, mama, get your life. But Khloe literally did marry the male version of her mama, y'all, even down to her having to settle for law. I swear to God, if Kris could have gotten somebody pregnant, Corey looked like he's 9 months pregnant right now. Anyway, y'all, let me know what you think in the comments. Are you shocked? I'm not. Congratulations to that bodyguard for getting to the money. Let me know what y'all think in the comments. Talk to y'all later. Bye.